Le sommet international de l'éducation du futur réunit une soixantaine de conférenciers du monde entier. Des pionniers et des innovateurs issus du monde de l'éducation, bien évidemment, mais également des êtres inspirants, issus des chemins de sagesse ou des chemins d'apprentissage et de créativité dans différents domaines. Les arts, les sciences, l'économie, le lien avec la nature, le sport, etc. Des expériences et des chemins de vie qui sont un formidable enrichissement pour le monde de l'éducation. Le professionnalisme des traductions, en simultané, et l'incroyable richesse de toutes ces conférences offrent un horizon de point de vue vaste et varié, très complet, qui en font au final une véritable formation professionnelle pour les enseignants, les éducateurs et tous les professionnels de l'éducation, mais également une formation à la parentalité consciente et une formation individuelle à la vie consciente. Face à toute cette richesse et aux divers retours, nous avons décidé d'offrir toutes ces conférences à tous, partout dans le monde, en français et en anglais, quelquefois en allemand et en espagnol. Découvrez la vision d'acteurs audacieux et influents du changement, vers un monde éthique, solidaire, généreux et profondément respectueux de tous, des cultures, des peuples, des règnes et de la planète. Un incroyable panel de conférences, couvrant toutes les dimensions de l'éducation, pour un futur ayant du sens, une humanité épanouie et une terre qui respire. Une chose est sûre, votre vie, et à travers vous, celle des enfants, ne sera plus la même après avoir écouté toutes ces conférences. Pour avancer, nous avons besoin de vous, nous avons besoin de votre générosité solidaire. L'organisation du sommet et l'édition des conférences ont nécessité des milliers d'heures de travail et nécessitent encore beaucoup de temps et d'investissement. Nous faisons appel aux dons libres et spontanés pour compléter le financement du sommet et, si possible, continuer à l'enrichir de nouvelles conférences. Votre soutien est vraiment précieux et vital pour aller jusqu'au bout de cette aventure extraordinaire. Merci.
I'm very happy to welcome you here in this space. We have a discussion 1 month ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it was so interesting to speak with you about what you are doing in Portugal with the bees and what you are doing with the people around the bees. And I looked at all your videos. It was so nice, and I'm very happy to go and travel with you in the world of the bees. So
thank you, Abel.
You are like you are like an elf for us, and we are going with you in another world. And I'm very happy of this adventure with you. Thank you very much, Annelieke.
Thank you. And it's a bit strange to speak to a public that I don't see. I don't know. I don't even know how many you are and where you are in the world. And so it's feeling like being connected with a whole unknown hive of bees, and all of you are humming wherever you are in the world. And we share this dream of creating conditions wherever we are, so that more beauty and more coherence and more of who we are can shine through. And that is one of the big attractions for me, to be with bees. And I would say maybe the bees have been calling to invite to explore more about that. I would like to start with prayer. So maybe you make yourself comfortable and totally ready for this 1.5 hours that we share together. Be prayer. Winged spirit of sweetness, I call on you. Teach me the ways of transformation and fertilization, the path from pollen to sweetest honey. Teach me to taste the essence. On each place I alight, carrying that essence with me to continue creation cycle. Teach me the ways of hope, reminding me what seems impossible may yet be achieved. Flitting tears of the gods draw me ever closer to the wisdom hidden within beauty. Give me flight and sunlight, passion and productivity, cooperation with those around me, and sharpened strength to defend my home. May I ever spiral out from my heart, searching for what I need, and return there once again to turn those lessons into nourishment. Be spirit, I call to you. I'm going to try to share my screen now with you. I would like to receive feedback if it works, if the connection that I have today is good enough for that.
I tell you. It works. Yeah, nice.
Okay. I'm very happy that this works. So I would love to share a bit about the journey that I had with the bees since I started living in Southwest Alentejo and working together with Sandira Belja. I would like to show you a bit about how we were living. Here at the right side of the screen, you see Sandira's dome and a beehive, a sun hive. And here on the left side, you see my yurt and a top bar hive. So we were living there in a hilly landscape, quite degenerated, I would say, the landscape. And we were living closely together and working with the bees. And the bees were within our energy fields, and we were in the energy fields of the bees. And in this time that we have been working together, we have been in a deep, deep exploration, not only of the life of bees, but also a journey into what it means to be healthy as a human being. Both Sandira and I, at the time that we met, we had different issues with our health. Sandira had physical issues, and I had issues of overworking, emotional, etc., etc. And so together we were an amazing team to be able to not only to learn more about how to come back into health, but also to keep being nourished by nature and to learn about all the ways in which nature can teach us about life and the beauty of life. And yeah, so Sandira, when I came to Valdebacias, Sandira was already working on a book about bees, in which she is telling a lot about this journey. And sorry, I'm a bit still connected with the technical issues. I need to find a way into this talk. So everything that I learned about being with bees, and so in this period that we were living together, there were more people who wanted to learn about bees, who came to Sandira to learn with her. So we were inspired then to think about how we could create a network of bee lovers, where the qualities of the bees and the qualities of the humans could come together, and where many different people who would have a bee call and who would work with bees could connect to share all this information and also these ways of being in life, so that we become more aware about what is possible when we start to co-create with beings like bees. At this moment, I'm living in another little house, not so far from where I used to live. Sandira's journey moved on. And so then it was suddenly me being in Alentejo and being with all the golden threads of the bee network that we had been creating. And I would like to tell you a bit about the different flavors of what we are doing and how it brings us closer to the bees, the trees, and also to what is possible for us as human beings to be part of this network. So first I would like to speak a bit more about bees. And well, bees are so much in the news, so there's a lot that you might know about bees as a pollinator, etc. And I would like to show you a bit of the other qualities of the bees that we have been discovering through being with the bees. And I would like to read some words from Sandira's book, because it's a very poetic language, and I think it really helps us to enter this energy of the bee. Bees and flowers love each other immeasurably. For millennia, they have woven a relationship of trust and cooperation, which goes far beyond the simple practical function of pollination. When a foraging bee lands on a flower, she says to it, "I see you, I know you, I thank you for living." This gratitude is genuine nourishment for the etheric body of the planet. Gaia's vibratory structure is composed of a unified complex of energetic networks. These interlaced webs structure and maintain the earth in a coherent unity. They may be compared to layers of finely woven garments which clothe and protect our planet. All the networks are interconnected and constitute a terrestrial intranet through which billions of pieces of information permanently circulate. By flying from flower to flower, the bees stimulate the energetic flow which circulates through the network. Foraging bees cover thousands of kilometers through the air. Their translucent wings behave like prisms which refract the light of the sun. Their movements are stemmed into the ethers and leave behind a luminous vibratory imprint which endures some time before dissipating. During their journeys and explorations, they are permanently linked to their hive being by a sort of umbilical cord. This powerful and elastic link helps them to find the path back to their mother, like Ariadne's thread in the labyrinth. So, one of the things that fascinated me from the beginning is, oh, suddenly I don't see bees anymore as pollinators in a very specific task. I see that the bees, while pollinating, are taking care of the body of the earth, and they are making love with the flowers. And so, what is this erotic body of the earth? Ooh, and how does that translate to my human body? And what does that mean for the relationship I can have with nature? But before I dive into that, I would like to tell a bit more about the nature of the bees. So, one beautiful thing of bees is that actually they have so many characters that are not so, um, you cannot say that the bee is one thing. The bee is more. The bee is beyond dichotomy. Like the bee as an individual is an insect, but as a collective, the bee is a mammal. The shared body temperature of the bees is 35 degrees, our body temperature. And so there are many dimensions of the bees where we are constantly playing with the one and the many. And so the beauty of the bees is that they are kind of alchemists of coherence. When they are in their hive, they are a very concentrated physical, almost physical bowl. And during the day, when they are visiting the flowers, they can be spread out kilometers over the landscape, and still they are this colony that has a collective intelligence. So there are many different aspects of bees: physical, vibratory, spiritual aspects. The bees are kind of shamans that can bridge the different dimensions, and they have very specific tools. They have the physical tools for this coherence, like how they are in the hive, and they also have specific languages. They have the language of touch, they have the language of sound, they have the language of smell. And then they are the connectors of the different realms. So I would like to go a little bit more into those different layers. So on the physical layer, I don't know if you are all connected with bees, but they have their wax that they build, and the wax is their home, creates their home, it's their skeleton. It's also the means through which the vibrations in the hive are traveling. Bees communicate a lot by vibration, and it's also their storage space of the food that they give to the brood. It's also their womb, and it's a kind of a temple. Like when you are next to a hive and you are listening to the hive, it's like if you are in a church, I would say, or in whatever sacred space that you know in your culture. and the bees are covering this whole space that they share together, and the space between the combs is just enough that they can pass, and they're always touching. So they have this possibility of constantly being aware of what is happening in the hive through being in touch with each other by vibration, by smell, by scent and sound. And this makes, for me also, it's a fascinating part of bee life, that so many of the tasks of bees are subtly interwoven, that every action that a bee does has this physical and this vibrational and this spiritual component, which means that every single activity is part. It's like if every single activity has movement, has meaning, and a meaning in the coherence of the hive, but also a meaning in the coherence with the landscape. And so, wow, that's a beautiful way of becoming kin with the world. Abel?
Yes.
Abel?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Abel, could you start the video?
Okay.
Abel, just I would like to speak a word about this, because the bees, they have colonies, and in the time that they are multiplying, they are swarming out, and they are looking for a new home. And I would like to show you a little bit of a video, and it's just to show you. It's a funny choice that the bees make. They land in the caravan of a friend. And I would like to show you this fragment of the video, because there are a lot of children who are somehow participating in this story, and I would like to show you this. And Abel, if you can start it, and I will also tell when you can stop the video.
Okay.
Took all your socks and underwears out of the cabin. Now it's empty.
Yeah, thank you.
Still really cute. Okay, girls.
I work for the Queen, gathering sweetness in the garden. I work in the garden, stirring her magic potion. I work in the garden, stirring her magic potion. I work for the Queen, gathering sweetness in the garden. I work in the garden, stirring her magic potion. I work in the garden, stirring her magic potion. I work for the good of my brothers and sisters. Together we fly to drink from flowers. Together we fly to drink from flowers. I work for the good of my brothers and sisters. Together we fly to drink from flowers. Together we fly to drink from flowers. My love is a hum in the trees of the forest. A new day is come. 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 My love is a hum in the trees of the forest. A new day is come. A new day is come. A new day is come. A new day is come.
So you can stop the video now, Abel. Thank you.
Okay.
So I wanted to show you that our work is a lot about experimenting with different types of hives. It's a lot about communication with the bees. It's about communication with the people who are in touch with bees. And especially in this season, when the bees are swarming and people see clusters of bees and they have questions and maybe they come in places where they shouldn't be, or people are just very curious. It's a time of a lot of conversation around bees and also about, what can we do to support the bees? And actually, the more we are with the bees, the more it's also clear that there's so much where the question is also, what is it that the bees can offer us? And I would like to speak a bit more about it. So the bees are very, very, very communicative. They have co-evolved millions of years with flowers and with the landscape. And so they communicate with a lot of different beings, from very small and very close within the hive and around the hive, to huge movements that they are in touch with, like the song lines of the earth, the cosmic movements. And so bees can be an amazing teacher when it comes to developing our language and perception skills and to expand our consciousness. And one easy thing that is possible to do whenever you are in the possibility to be close to a beehive, it doesn't matter what type of beehive it is. It can be a square beehive, it can be any type of hive, is to connect with the bees and to become part of their energy field, and then to lay down close to the hive in the scent and the sound of the hive. Um, for me, it has a quality of um, um, all my systems can relax. It's touched my heart. I'm connected with my heart, with the bees, and I feel the vibrational quality of their being, where I can expand and where my nervous system can relax. And the smell of the hive is also opening my senses. And then in that state that I am in, when I can be in that way with the bees, there are much more possibilities for me to sense. There are possibilities um, to be taken to other realms. And so it's a very beautiful space of being able to be in another dimension without sleeping. I would say that it has the quality of meditation. And then bees communicate a lot by touch with each other. And one thing is to be touched by a bee, to have the subtle touch of a bee on your skin. And another thing is this question like, oh, so if I would communicate more by touch, how would that be like? How can I improve the quality of my touch? How can regularly touching different parts of my body alive make me more alive? What is the erotic quality of touch? Like the erotic quality of touch of a bee tickling a flower. So I can also discover different dimensions of what it means to be a human being through inspiring myself with the qualities of the bees. And also, when I do that, it's also more possible for me to become more close to how bees function, and um, um, to know more of their world, just by becoming more kind of an intimate friend. So when we are with the bees, we have many different activities. We are not just tending the hives. We are also observing a lot what's going on in the different seasons. We are also with all the different substances of the hive, like the propolis and all the etheric qualities of that substance. And through all those ways of being with the bees, we expand a lot our possibility of who we can be, and our connection with the landscape. We work in different ways with the bees. One way is to come closer, to really be with them, to make music, and to lay under the hive, to spend time with them, to have a very intimate observation. And the other is how would bees live if they wouldn't be in the boxes that we give them, if they are more living in the wild. So are there wild nests around us? Can we find them? And then how do these bees maybe tell us different stories than the one of the bees that we have close to us? We also give possibilities to people to be close to the bees, and they can even listen to the sound in the hive, and they can look in the hive through a window. when we make it dark so the bees are not disturbed. And we invite people also to have daily connection with bees by creating a place to setting a hive close to their living space. So I just show you a few things, but I don't want to go a lot into this. The beauty of the way our network is working is that instead of having many hives and just one beekeeper, we have ideally as many bee lovers as beehives. So that means that we can have a lot of observation capacity, and we can spend a lot of time with the bees, which means that we can learn a lot that we might not be able to find in the literature about bees, because there are a lot of things happening that are very specific to a certain place and certain conditions. And the bees also bring us the vibrations of the future. So what can we learn by spending time with the bees? And what can we learn about our landscape and about the tensions that there are in the place where we are? And how can we learn to understand more of that information? And when we are more people, and we gather around one particular hive, and we all receive different information because we are different persons, we have different communication channels, and we have different ways of interpretation. And then when we see that all this information actually makes part of a bigger whole, when we share, it's not just that we get more trust about the fact that we are able to communicate with another being like the bees. It's also that we start perceiving different ways of sensing and making sense and then giving meaning. And when this is something that when we appreciate all the different ways we have to do this, we are also starting to appreciate much more each other's gifts and also the complementarity of these gifts and what we can be together. And then for the trees, we like to see how we can support bees to move back into more bee-friendly homes and into trees. The bees and the trees also have, if you look at the tree being and the bee being, then there is this beauty of both beings that have a connection with the earth and the universe. And when those fields are merging, something very special happens. So we are also experimenting with hives that are up in trees. And when I go to this particular hive, for example, when I come closer, I can feel that there is a merge going on between the field of the bees and the energy field of the tree. Yeah, this is so touching for me that I started just being interested in the bees, in a beehive, and the bees took me on this journey of connecting with the landscape, connecting with other dimensions, and how to bring all these different sensations then into my own being and into my own life. And I have an opportunity to also share this with children, I'm invited, so I'm taking care of hives in the region. And one of the places where I take care for the hives is a community where they have a school. And I'm invited to come every month to tell about the bees in the school. And one thing is going to the school and having a particular moment with the children. And then there are children that are interested. So anytime when something is going on with the bees, some of those children are invited to come and go with us and to be part of the team of the explorers. So here you see that we are with many generations looking at a hive that just left. And she had made beautiful, beautiful free-built comb. And we have been discovering how she made, how she was healthy enough to work with her propolis. And here you can see that there were beetles that came into the hive and that were mummified. So it's a whole world to explore, and it's just beautiful to be there with the children because they see so many different things than we do. So when we explore those things together, it's just a pleasure of also an exchange between all of us and also being in this wondrous world. I also would like to share something about another way of being with the children. The bees give us many substances that are medicines. And one of those substances is the propolis. And we had a whole cycle of medicine making where the children were participating in all the different steps. So it was also about working with the cycles because this medicine was put together and then it was put into the cycle of the one moon cycle to give its information. And it's also about who we are as a community. How can we take care of our own health and how can we take care of the health of each other? And who are the beings around us that support us to stay healthy? And how can we, at our turn, help these beings to be healthy? So suddenly, instead of just having a medicine that we grab out of a little drawer, it starts to be something that is alive. It comes from the bees, it comes from the sea. In this instance, we used salt and propolis to make this medicine. And now the children have a medicine that connects them with the bees of the beehive that is in the school. And the medicine even spent another few days in the hive to receive the healing vibrations of the bees. So also this working in the different dimensions to work on this collective level, to work with the spirit of the bees, and then to have a very physical thing that then gives us something as health that is also something, yeah. One of my fascinations of working with the children is to combine all those different dimensions, and that it really starts to be part of their lives. And also for them, it's so natural. So there are many things that come through this working, what we do together, where their own qualities become more visible and also more valued by all of us. And through the bee work, I felt more and more like, it's the whole landscape that that we are. I mean, if we want to do something for the bees, then it's very limited to just look at the beehive. And so that's with everything. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about our tree nursery that is very much inspired by the energy of the bees and the energy of the tree. And also, we work together with people who have their jobs in the forest or in the garden or with the bees. And then when we come together in the tree nursery to cultivate the species that we use for our own regeneration projects, but also for projects in the region, the question is how we can come together in the spirit of the bees in the forest. How can it be something that is not that radiates this same joy and this same quality of that every activity has meaning, not just as one function with one purpose of creating trees, but also like, how can it bring health to our lands? How can it bring health to our communities? How can it bring joy that we are coming together and that we can share that pleasure, and also the pleasure of sharing our knowledge? And how can our quality of the materials that we are cultivating become better because we learn together? And how can we bring our children, and how can they be part, either by doing what we are doing or playing around? And how can we also be part of their play? And so how can this part of our daily life becomes so much integrated that our family life and our working life and making livelihood and our joy and our spiritual nourishment all come together. And actually, in the whole way in which we are working with the trees and the bees, and in which we are relating with each other as landowners and communities and friends, it's all based on that vibration. So yes, I apologize for the hiccups in my presentation, and I hope you could still feel a little bit of my joy and my inspiration through what I've been able to share. And I would really like to open for questions.
Wait, I'm coming. So, just to know, Annelieke, Pascal said, interesting to find a platform that allows talking about bees beyond their ecological characteristics. This leads me to ask, flowers have a spiritual significance in almost all religions. Could this spiritual aspect also extend to bees and honey?
Oh, definitely. Yes, yes, yes. So for me, the bee is a shaman. And I mean, I would even like to take this wider, because I have a feeling that, well, maybe I take the bees, because the bees for me are messengers of love. And then we come to a spiritual connection that all of us carry in ourselves. And so we are used to taking some elements like for example, the flower and the bee, and maybe some other creatures where those characteristics are more easy to find. It's more of their main identification. And at the same time, I would say that all of us, we carry that spiritual quality. So how can we connect in such a way that we connect to our own spiritual quality of being, and that we can connect to the spiritual quality of being of other creatures? And I would say that the bees is a beautiful teacher in that, because of the vibrational quality that is so obvious. But all of us, we have this vibrational quality. So how would it be if we would be able to learn the language of vibration, and we could be in connection with all other beings on that level? And I think when you look at different tools that we have, like flower essences, homeopathy, and all kinds of other wisdom in all different cultures about medicine that carries vibrational quality, and also ways of traveling, medicine as traveling, like with mushrooms, etc., then I feel that we are in touch with that spiritual quality of elements when we are really going to the source, and where we find our common connection. Is this the type of answer that can satisfy your question? It's more a kind of an expansion of that topic.
Okay, nice. There is just a testimony. So magic to see how you are enjoying and enlightening, speaking and teaching and sharing about our sisters bees. Thank you so much. There is a question. It's good to get the children involved. I've noticed that that children don't know much about them and think of them as nasty animals because they sting. When I teach them that bees are important, many in kindergarten don't understand and say that they should be killed because they sting. Thanks for your explanations.
Yes, also when we come closer to bees, we can also start to learn more about venom and about other qualities of venom than the defensive quality of stop. Don't come further. We can also discover the medicinal quality of venom and how it helps flow, and how venom helps at the same time to be very focused and to have a very wide awareness. So, of course, this is not something for everybody. And at the same time, it's very interesting to work with all the different substances of the hive, and to be in relationship with them also in their spiritual qualities. And then it can also be a whole journey in itself, like to be years and years and years in connection with the qualities of venom, and to benefit of the qualities of another substance, like we can do when we are using a plant medicine or another type of medicine.
Just to say that on Vimeo, there is a little movie about how you use the how you are working with the bees for medicine, to they can sting without dying.
Yeah, it's something that we can help the bees, and also if we are if we are able to leave the bee on our hand, where, for example, if the bee stings in our hand, and we leave the bee will make spirals and might be able to free itself if our skin is relaxed enough so that the bee can free herself.
If there are any other questions or testimony. On the chat, I have put the different website the Bee Wisdom, Earth, and the blog and the Vimeo channel. So you can look at all the movies. Most of the movies are in English and also in French, so it's easy for everybody.
Yeah, for me, the bees are an entrance, and then through the bees, and like, for example, my fascination with the sound of the bees, I'm wondering like, oh, and the birds and the other insects, and what is the vibration of the trees? It's just a sound that I cannot hear, but the sound is present. The vibrations of the trees are present. So what is it that can gain life and gain meaning when we start to see all those subtle relationships and how they belong together and how they shape our world? And then from the subtlety of those relationships in nature, it's also like, oh, and how does that translate to me as a person, all the qualities that I bring, everything that is alive in me. And if we are working together, what is it that we give importance to? And maybe there are many things that are very small that are super important when we look on a scale of the everyday, that everything gets constantly enlivened by all those little gestures that are possible in our existence, and that are also available in all the other beings around us. So it's a very different way of looking, perceiving, and then also in relating and expressing, and also giving space to all those different ways of becoming more resilient and more adaptive and more responsive.
Annelieke, do you have to deal with the Asian hornet?
In northern Portugal and in central Portugal, they already arrived. And in South Portugal, I didn't hear about them yet. And there are other animals like the European hornet, some beetles, varroa, etc. All kinds of animals that are labeled as the enemies of the hive. And one of our curiosities is how this disbalance occurs, what it tells us, what is the mirror of what we are seeing, and then also, is there another response than protecting and creating barriers? Is there a way in which we can help bees being more strong? Is there a way in which we can help that the bees don't have to produce honey so that they can relearn collective behaviors? for example, in Japan, where the Asian hornet is part of the ecosystem, bee colonies know how to collectively cook an Asian hornet. And they also know how to collectively wave in front of the entrance so that the hornets are not able to distinguish a single bee in the movement of the waving bees together. And the way we have been creating the beehives and the pressure that is there for bees to produce a lot of honey makes that bees do not have time and also not the right conditions to develop those behaviors. So what can we do also in the homes we give to bees and the way we look at the whole ecosystem to help creating more balance? And that's also why I'm so much interested in the work of regeneration and creating diversity, because in the area where I live, we have very long dry summers, and because there is a lot of degenerated landscapes, the beehives start to be a kind of a beacons of food, like a kind of paradise in the desert. So one thing is to protect the paradises, and another thing is to create paradise everywhere so that the beehives are an integral part of a paradise instead of just a drop of paradise in a sea of desert. So I think we can do so many things on so many different levels. We can also be in communication, try to be in communication with the Asian hornets and with other animals that we see as a threat, and discover why they are here and what they are gifting us, what they're showing us about our society and how we are with nature.
At this time, there is no more questions. So, what is if you have one sentence to say about what is the most important lesson of the bees for the children, for the parents, for the world, for education, what will be this sentence?
I would say be open, curious, and responsive. There is such a presence in the bee, and such an amazing quality to be in the hum and to bring that hum to life. So how is it possible for all of us to bring our hum to the world? That's something where I feel, that's where the bees are a huge inspiration.
Thank you so much, Annelieke. It was wonderful to do this trip with you. It's very
welcome.
touching.
And thank you for the whole summit and everybody that is brought together to share and to learn.